Again. Guys, it's the North End. It's the season prediction show. Let's go.
This is the North End. This is the North End.
Guys, this is the North End. It is the season prediction show. It is an annual tradition that we get together and we guess what's going to happen, even though we don't ever get it close to right. With me, as always, I'm Paul, by the way, but with me, as always, it's North End crew. Crew, what's going on?
What's up? What's going on? Luke just appeared, by the way. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but
oh god,
yeah.
Well, he's going to join us in a second because I want him to have a little think about being late,
a little bit,
being punctual. Azaz, let's talk about this jersey right off the bat because I got to talk about it.
The GOAT,
Fire.
man. Like
Fire.
Just honestly, like to see this happening in the league, like where it's our league, I guess, the closest, even though this is a EPL show, but like to know that he's going to be here next year and stuff, and just his start, and just, I don't know, it's crazy. Beckham, obviously, I know there's two Man U fans there. Beckham did a big, like Beckham was a monumental signing, I guess I'd say, for the MLS. And then we've had some ballers in between who just didn't live up to the bill. Gerrard, Kaká, David Villa, like all these. Giovinco was
David Villa did all right. He
did all right.
He won the league with
Ibra
did okay.
Ibra did okay. Bale did pretty good as well. He won the league with
but none of them made it look like they're playing a
house. Not like Lionel Messi though. Like he's ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
It's making it look like house league. Speaking of house league, David Convery's here.
Oh, there we go.
That's me.
2 more days. 2 more days.
He's right, guys. He's right. 2 more days, and then the Premier League starts. This is where we're at. We're all very excited. I don't know for sure if Brian still is because he's a Tottenham fan, but let's find out. Like, Brian, are we excited?
I'm very excited. I'm going to see Man United at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on the second game, home opener. Got my ticket today. Very excited about that. And I mean, it's going to be obviously great to see the new stadium, and obviously it's a great match, like to go see against, especially if we somehow pull out a win, which I don't think we will, but if we do, against Man U at home, and I can dig you guys next time I'm back on here.
We need some vlogging, some North End vlogging.
Yeah, I'll get some stuff, guys. I'll get some stuff for the game. I don't know how the people will be around me with that type of stuff because I'm sitting in a season ticket seat with some people that I know, but I don't know what the expectations are. So I'm gonna. I'll get some before and after and walking up.
If you want to do a good video, just reference what JP California did all by himself. Oh no, wait, Luke did it. There's Luke. Okay.
No, there he is.
There's Luke.
Hey, Lukey boy.
I understand you're in hiding somewhere in North America, location specifically undisclosed. How are you? Are you feeling like the law is one step closer than they were yesterday?
Parts unknown.
Yes. I won't say exactly where I am. It does rhyme with Guantanamo Bay, but it's good. It's good. Exactly.
They were always going to get you. They were always going to get you eventually.
They won't catch me. They caught fucking Escobar and those boys. They won't catch me. I'm a lot slippier. And I didn't get stupid. I didn't start buying hippos. You see, I've kept it chill. I've got a couple of bearded lizards. That's it.
You got wombats.
You cannot amass that level of MasterCard debt and not be hunted by countries all over the world. Like, you just can't. It's just a world.
Catch me if you can. It was a great film. And I always thought this could be a great way to live, and I haven't passed any of the tests that he actually passed. I failed the MCAT, I failed the flight one, but okay, I'll give it a good go.
No, I love
that. I love that we're just celebrating.
That as like a cautionary tale, and you were like, that's my new life philosophy.
I have had a long history of watching shows and going, damn, I want to do that. First, it was Scrubs. I wanted to be a doctor. I was like, this looks like fun. I was like, no, it seems pretty serious. Then it was Friends, but nobody really knows what they did. So catch me if I can.
How many friends you have, Luke? When you're,
who did you want to be? Did you want to be Chandler?
I could tell you every single one of their jobs.
Thanks, Brian. Cheers. That was really cold.
I just mean because like we never see you. Like we're supposed to be your friends, but you don't come here hang out with us.
Oh my god. Are we having this
Wow.
talk? Are we actually having this?
I'm
talk?
I'm always messaging about going for drinks, but Brian's never available. Brian sends one line. I
The
can't do
day
that.
of, the day of.
Never.
Oh,
No,
cut
Hey, you
no,
wanna meet
no,
me for
no.
drinks in an
Weeks.
hour?
Weeks.
Oh, cut to his ass. Cut to his ass. See how his ass is
Weeks,
doing.
weeks, and just because you're giving us one appearance, and you're not with your other podcast, your special friends.
I'm here all the time.
Oh,
Here we go.
Yeah,
your special
yeah.
friends.
I'm
Your
But
here.
special
anyways,
friends.
it's great to be back.
It's great to have
even
you.
even from that barrage. Jesus,
Guys,
Jesus.
I'm gonna get us into it because it's
Let's do it. Let's
the
talk.
predictions, buddy. It's true.
Wow,
It's true.
the graphics,
Um,
the graphics.
You were able to follow basic instructions and were able to give me your picks in advance for this show. One of you, I'm not going to name Luke. Completely missed it.
I didn't know it was going to be it.
It rhymes with puke.
Yeah.
Convery. Shit.
But JP California cannot be here, so what we can do is Luke, you can just react to
take
JP's
his.
picks and then
I like
tell
that.
us if they're wildly different from
That's
what
a good
you would
one.
do.
That's a good one.
That's brilliant.
Well, I
so
actually
we never get these
worked
things
with
right.
JP. So
Dear
I actually
listeners,
worked-
dear audience, we never get these things right.
Me and JP did this together. We combined, and we had some disagreements. So it's
Oh, yeah.
fine.
No, it's
So
good.
whatever
It's
you'll
good.
put, I won't be shocked to see.
Right. So, audience, we do this every year. We've been doing this for a few years now. We're never right. We're always wildly off. It's actually most of the fun is how off we are. But we will be making our best case guesses for the top six finish, I should say, the relegation race, the golden boot, a breakout star, and who we think will be the flop of the season. I am going to start us off with Zaz's top 6 picks.
All right.
I'm going to highlight something so we don't have to walk through this every single time. Every single one of us had Manchester City finishing first. No big surprises there. Okay. Majority of us, and I'm sure we can all guess who didn't pick this, had Arsenal finishing second.
Oh, Brian, come on, dude.
No, but I have reason for it.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Nobody's
We'll
asking.
get to it.
Yeah, and
We'll
it's
get to it.
reasonable. It's not a.
And we'll
Where
get to it. We'll get to
They
it.
There
suck.
is
There's no
quite a
reason.
bit of diversity, I will say, is the position of Liverpool, Man United. They don't seem to be miles away from each other. There's usually just an inversion of who's ahead of who. And then Chelsea and Newcastle are in your top 6. We do have a lot of variation when it comes to who finishes in the top 6. So, Azaz, I'm gonna talk to you about something I want to ask first because I do want to understand how close you think it will be between Arsenal and Manchester City.
Closer than last year, which was really close, I guess. But I think that Arsenal have made squad changes, but I don't necessarily know if I know what those changes are supposed to be, because Havertz isn't really an answer to a problem that they had. I guess Rice is an improvement on Xhaka, but Xhaka did have a good season and he did do the dirty stuff pretty well as well. So yeah. I think Man City are just going to be in their groove, and I think Arsenal will have a really good season. The one thing I do think that will be similar to last season is if you look at the fixtures, I think Arsenal are going to be off to an incredible start again, and the hype train will gather again. So
they got their first 3 games were real easy, right?
Yeah, it's relatively two years in a row now, 2 seasons in a row where they've had a really easy start schedule wise.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so you have Liverpool obviously having a big bounce back year this year. Are you thinking that they've done enough in the transfer window? Are you thinking that, last year was just a total one-off? Don't expect them to be like that again. And how close do you think they're going to be to the race?
So, I mean, going off the second half of the season, we were second. So realistically, the bounce back for us under Klopp, the bounce back from 5th to 3rd is not even that big. It hurts me to put as 3rd, to be honest with you. I think our attack is ridiculous. Like if you look at the five that will play, so the 3 up front and then the 2 behind them are going to be really, really strong. But our defense is a shambles. So if it wasn't for our defense, I would have a second. But goals win games. Goals get you 3 points. And just remember as well that we were shocking for so much of last season, and we feasibly could have come 3rd. Like there was a moment in time where people were having the conversation, particularly like not you two necessarily, but like United fans and Everton fans were like, oh, they're going to do it again. They're going to come third. I just know they are. And then there was a couple of games where we pooped the proverbial bed. So I think it's the goals that'll fire us ahead. That's what I think.
Now this is a Wednesday. Season starts on a Friday. The transfer window is still a few weeks away from closing. Are there any rumors that you think are attached to Liverpool that could maybe kick them up a little bit? Any defensive targets where you're like, if we land this guy, I could see this being the boost we need to get into that top 2 positioning?
I think Klopp's. And so, firstly, just something that needs to be said, because there's a lot of Liverpool fans who are like, FSG this, FSG that, FSG this. Klopp has a lot more power than people want to say. And like, Klopp is in charge of a lot of this as well. Like, he's not Sloth in the Goonies sitting in the basement and they're not giving him money or anything like that. Like, he's a part of this whole.
Hey, you guys!
Yeah, they've so.
It was good.
Yeah, it's very good. I trust Klopp a lot. Like, I think that he knows what he's doing. Clearly, he knows what he's doing because we got McAllister for 35 million. So, like, we have rabbits in the hat. What he's waiting for, I'm not really sure, because does he have this word that, like, so Mbappe just got. Mbappe, there's just word now that Mbappe is not going to train with PSG, which means he's probably going to try and force some move to Real Madrid. Does that mean Real Madrid are going to sell one of their class DMCs? I don't really know. Like, I don't know what this game is. The Lavia thing is a pure game, and you would have heard me saying it in our group chat the other day. I almost think it's distasteful and a little bit of bullying as well, because when it happens to us, when Barcelona lowball and goes for Coutinho or Mascherano, or when Real Madrid are doing it with Xabi Alonso and they're just giving us like these arbitrary offers, kind of what Bayern Munich are doing to Spurs.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about Lavia? So, do you think that Liverpool are coming under the value also I want to, because the area that I'm concerned about with Liverpool, fully agreed on the attack, deadly. I still think the defense is good. I think Van Dijk's going to bounce back. The midfield is the concern for me, and I think most people like us who follow the Premier League closely, is McAllister. And let's say you get Lavia, because I think you will, and I think he wants to go, and I think you're right, it's a number. Are McAllister and Lavia the answer to that midfield? And is McAllister injured, or is he going to be ready to go for this weekend?
So McAllister is ready. McAllister is we're very, very excited about McAllister, but he'll take a bit of time to get used to the Premier League. But Szoboszlai is a baller. Like, what a player. Like, I have to admit, like, I didn't know that much about him, but having seen him in preseason, he's just trying to find his feet and stuff. That will be the midfield going forward. And Curtis Jones had a great end of the season and was really good for England as well.
I've been waiting for him to do this for 2 seasons.
Yeah, and he's been injury prone. He's been injury prone. This is a make or break season, I think, for him at Liverpool, because we've all watched games and you're like, oh, this guy looks like a player, and then you see another couple of games, you're like, well, what's going on with him? It's been a little bit like that. So
okay. Well, now we're going to move ourselves along, and David Convery is going to stop asking random questions. Chelsea, you have finishing in the top 6, which is not consistent across the picks that we have today. You think Chelsea are going to be able to bounce back, and that, like, last season was a one-off? Putting words in your mouth, but I'm assuming this is your declaration. But Newcastle, you have finishing below Chelsea, which is maybe a bit of a surprise. Do you just not think they've got the squad to compete again?
Chelsea are 1 game a week.
Newcastle,
I remember. I'm saying so. Chelsea are 1 game a week, and I just think with the players that they have, they can do 1 game a week very comfortably. Okay. I think Newcastle are very, very good. I think they're a great team. I know we're going to say something about the flops shortly, so I won't touch on that right now. But have they strengthened enough to, like, be really serious about the 2 big competitions? I don't know that they have. No. That's what I think.
Right. Okay, well, there's your top 6. Dave, nearly identical up to a point where we...
Go on, Dave.
You've changed positions with the top 4 in Man United finishing ahead of Liverpool, but again, Arsenal, Manchester City. Question start with: how close do you think Arsenal will get to Man City this season?
Yeah, I actually think that 1 through 4 spot will be much closer this season. I think that's just good for the league. I think City will edge it. Just and Brian will probably. It's a mentality thing in the second half of the season. I really do think it's a Pep thing. Like this guy just knows how to get the most out of the squads that he has. I do think Arsenal will be there. I think Jurriën Timber is going to be a really good signing for them. Rice is. I know the Xhaka had a great season. It's Declan Rice. It's a huge upgrade. I think people forget that they added Trossard in January. He's an excellent player that can play across the front three. They're going to be up there. I think they're marginally maybe ahead of United and Liverpool, but it wouldn't shock me if like Liverpool or United edged it out to second. I think Liverpool's biggest issue for me is that they weren't healthy last year, right? I'm just not sold on their midfield. I think United, this is his second season with Ten Hag. The players that he's bringing in, but more so the players that he's able to get out, like getting Maguire out, getting De Gea out, and bringing these guys in. Like I think that 2-3-4 spot could be very interchangeable. I kind of almost regret having Newcastle at 4th, but I'll keep them there. Fifth. Extremely underwhelmed with their transfer business this summer. Extremely underwhelmed, and I just think the way Villa finished last season, I think they've got some really underrated players. Ollie Watkins, I think, is going to just blow the doors off this year. They've got a stronger midfield. People talk about Brighton. Keep an eye on Aston Villa. They're going to be there. Not sure about Newcastle, but I think
was there anything going
tighter
on with the traditional names that you might throw in a top 6 with Chelsea or with Spurs that you think that they're not quite making the grade this season? Or was it just that Newcastle and Aston Villa are just going to be like, this is a good window for them to have a good season?
I really like the Ange ball that I've seen so far in preseason. I think my biggest concern there is the cloud that we've spoken about for weeks and months now is the Harry Kane situation. So like if Kane stays, which I'm just so up in the air, I really like this guy as a manager. I've been paying a little bit more attention to him, watching a little bit of the preseason's highlights, watching his interview. I think he's going to be really, really good for Spurs. Like he seems to know how to control a dressing room. The players are pumped about him. It's the Harry Kane thing, man. I just don't know what that's going to look like. And I think even if he doesn't sign a contract, there's no way there aren't going to be teams taking a run at him in January, like maybe throwing out a cheeky 60, 70 million and being like, just give us him, because then at that point you really do have a gun to Levy's head, right? So that was kind of my issue. Very concerned about Chelsea. I think Chelsea are probably going to be in that 7th or 8th spot. I love the manager. I see hole after hole after hole in that squad. Still no offense. No idea who their starting midfield is. I think if they got into the top 6, I'd be shocked. I was really shocked at that pick as and whatever your reason. If I'm a Chelsea fan, I have zero hope for this season. Not even Europa League. I think it's going to be bad. Who knows? But that's kind of where I'm at with them.
Interesting. We're going to move on to a guy who's not here to speak for himself, but we can pretty quickly go through this. JP wanted everybody to know that Erling Haaland will carry Manchester City to the title single-handedly.
Does he like him? I can't tell
because he discovered him back when he was an unknown player playing for a small German club in the Champions League called Borussia Dortmund. But it was JP who discovered him and wanted us all to know that he will be carrying them to victory this year. And that Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester United, none of them matter because apparently Aston Villa will finish 5th. And that was the big takeaway that he wanted everybody to be aware of.
No shit.
No shit. And that despite the fact that he accuses Chelsea of being the dirtiest team in the world, he gets more upset about Chelsea shit than he does Manchester City shit, which is bothersome to me. He has them finishing in the top 6. Interestingly, because I'm going to move us on to the next picks, Aston Villa being in the top 6 is not a unique choice.
Why can't I speak to that?
Because you're not JP.
Well, I'm pretty much JP. I'm like,
well, you can speak to other points, but these are all being duplicated.
You don't want
to
be
Aston Villa
JP.
finishing
I deep down
5th.
I just want to be loved.
I'll give you my pick because I also have Aston Villa finishing 5th, and then you can talk to me about that. Okay. Manchester City winning and Arsenal being closer than they were last year. I think it's going to be one of those like on the tail end of this season when they start playing against each other and the chips are down. that's when the back will be broken again. I just see Manchester City, just being dominant, unless there's injuries or unless they still have guys moving on this window that they don't have time to replace.
I want to talk about that quickly. I'm not trying to hijack here. It looks like they're re-upping Walker on a new agreement and they're re-upping Bernardo. And I think that's the first time I've seen in the modern day City era where basically players held the team hostage and said, hey, we want to go. And teams are like, no, we really want. Usually they move them on. Pep says, get out of here. I don't need you.
Yeah.
They're re-upping them both on more money. And I think come the end of the year, keeping those two will be the reason they get another title in their locker.
Well, we will see. I'm sure both wanted to make more money once they saw what Haaland was making.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean,
how much is Haaland making? Do we know?
A lot.
$500,000 a week, I think.
Yeah, it was something crazy. He didn't cost a lot in transfer, and I think he went off the contract. And I mean, he's earning it. Fuck, he's earning it.
Does JP get a kickback from that?
Of course,
maybe.
Does.
Yeah, of course. You discovered it.
You predicted
it. Yeah,
I think the only thing that's kind of shocking to me is that you're all just blindly, unequivocally kind of City are definitely going to win.
Let's have a conversation. If you want to point out what you're seeing through all our picks, let's have a
do that at the end.
Let us all go through our picks before you take away my time. You British
and mine.
prick.
You just took my time. I just said
you don't have time.
I was going to speak
not
for
JP.
I was going to speak for JP.
You get it. You know how to pronounce
names. He messaged me. I do. Yeah, that's true.
I have Manchester United finishing above Liverpool. I actually think that could be interchangeable. They're very much like occupying the same mental space for me. It's third or fourth. Like it would be very tight, but I think both will be not that close to Arsenal and City. Like I think there will be 8 to 10 points difference. I think both teams will make progress. Both teams will improve this season in different ways. But I think Man United don't have a striker still, and I think that's going to cost them. That's my take on my own club. Aston Villa, I do think have a lot of momentum right now. I think they had a really, really good window. They might have had the best window of any club. And I do think Emery had them playing really good football last season when he took over. And I think this is just going to be like one of those years where they kind of have the right mix of things at the right time. I don't think it's a sustainable top 6 finish. I think this is going to be when we start seeing clubs kind of go in and out of that top 6. But I feel like Aston Villa have a really good chance this year of getting in there. And then I think Newcastle have done enough to be in the top 6, but I don't think they have enough to compete for the top 4 with Champions League and with the style of play that they have. I think they needed to invest in more bodies that could be physical and be the runners that Howe needs them to be. I think they've improved the team in the transfer window. I just think it's a real challenge for any team to finish in the top 4 now and to keep pace with those teams that are also improving every summer. They're just not the big draw spending team yet. And then we have the most distinct top 6 finish of everybody who picked a top 6 finish. It's our guy, Brian. Manchester City finishing number 1, clear as day, aligned with everybody else. You have Arsenal not finishing second. You have Liverpool finishing second.
I do.
So before I get into that logic, how tight a race do you see the Liverpool Manchester City finish being?
I think it'll be very tight. I think those first 3 will all be very tight. I think the league the league itself is going to be incredibly close. I think right up to the end of the season. But I think City will have enough. The reason I put Liverpool, and if you don't mind me answering that, in that position, was based on what Azaz said about the second half of last season. They were the second best team in the league. Statistically, their attack was incredible. I was like, this is the Liverpool prior to injuries that we saw, that we know that can compete against City. And I think we're going to see that again. If they stay fit, then they can get their a couple of defenders in, which, as I was also mentioned, I think that they are the second best team in the league if they're firing. Mm-hmm. Arsenal are only in that position, guys. It's not because I hate them. It's because they've got Champions League football. They've got to manage another a very heavy workload, and I don't know that they have the squad for it. They have a good squad. I don't know if they have the squad to do Champions League at a high level and the league. And in the Champions League, they're going to take it seriously. And I think that will whittle them down a little bit. Not to say that they won't be in the top 3. I still think that's relevant. I think United or 4th is again. I think that all 3 of those could rotate depending on what's going to happen based on injuries and how long they go into Europe. I put Spurs in there, a little bit of bias, I'll admit that, but I do think they will be potentially in that top 6. I think you'll see Villa, Brighton, Newcastle kind of all could fit into any one of those Spurs or Chelsea positions. And I think that's the hardest one to predict because there's just so many variables involved. If I put that there with Kane staying, because I think that he's going to stay. And I think if Kane stays, Spurs have a good chance of potential top 4. And I think 5th I think there's a Champions League spot for 5th this season. So I think that if he stays, that they'll be striving towards that. Chelsea for me, before with Nkunku, or what's his name? Nkunku? Nkunku, thank you. Him getting injured is massive. I thought they were going to finally have somebody at the top of their attack, but he's had surgeries out for 2 months. So I probably moved them down a little bit here and probably put Villa in that position. But that was before, like I did this top 6 before that. So that's my reasoning for it. And I just think all those other teams, the Brightons of the world, the Villas of the world, Newcastle, they've all got Europe for the first time in a long time, and managing that's going to be incredibly difficult. And it's the only reason why they're not easily in my top 6, because I think the quality of football that Villa are playing and the coaching is incredible. I just think that they're gonna struggle a little bit with managing Europe.
Can I ask you
they will be very good in the league sometimes, but what?
Can I ask you a quick question about Spurs? I think it's clear for anyone and everyone. Sonny needs a bounce back season. That was an odd season from him. What's going on with Basuma at Spurs? Because he was basically a non-factor.
He was incredible in preseason. He looks he looks like the player, like against Barcelona. I know it's preseason, so I don't get too carried away, but he ran the game, and he basically just controlled the midfield against Barcelona's midfield. Dude. And they played eight of their first 11, and he was just.
If you guys can tap into him, I think
we have.
If
he stays fit in preseason, he looks incredible. Like, it's ridiculous, and especially in an 8 in Postecoglou's system with 2 6s, Lo Celso and Madison on either side. I mean, there's some really good quality in our side. It's going to take a bit of, I think there's going to be some, we're going to give up a lot of goals, but we're going to score a lot of goals. So there'll be a lot of those kind of games for the first 3 months where you're like, well, not sure what's going to happen. But I think the Harry Kane factor, if he stays, and I think he will, that's the reason that I've got them there. And I think that's reasonable.
So Luke, you've had a chance to see everybody's picks now. It's like, what's your takeaway? Like, if you were to have had a list, are any of these wildly different from where you were thinking? Is anybody kind of close to what you had in mind?
I think it's just frightening how consistently poor David Convery is at picking choice. No, I'm joking. No, they're all about the same. I had a strange feeling that Chelsea could actually be very, very good this year until, like Brian said, because I've watched them in preseason and they've got
they look very
players.
dynamic.
And Koku is obviously we know about, but he's not been the one that's really gained my attention. It's Jackson has been an incredible player, and Jackson scored goals in preseason. Jackson should have scored 3 or 4 times the amount of goals. Every time the ball was going forward, he was in a position where he wanted it fed through. And they haven't quite understood, even the players behind him haven't understood he wants that ball, and he is very, very good. So until that injury, I would have had Chelsea higher. I love the idea of Villa being top 6 based on preseason. We haven't lost a game in preseason. We beat Lazio, we beat Valencia, we drew through Newcastle. We've had a lot of decent results. Emery's playing really good football. Everyone's playing kind of above and beyond right now. My only concern remains that Villa have 1 striker in.
That's a big part.
If he gets injured, and we've got players.
Cameron Archer.
Love him, but he has had opportunities and he just can't get over it. Like, he knows where he wants to be. He's very much like a Danny Ings, and he wants to play in that last man. And obviously the advantage of him over Danny Ings is he hasn't had the 3-4 terrible, injuries that Danny Ings has had. But there's now a lot of rumors in the last 24, 48 hours that are saying that they might consider offers for him. There also looks like Aaron Ramsey, who is Jacob's brother, who actually is the one that they're saying is crap hot, like real fire, is apparently being sold to Burnley, but there is a buyback clause of the amount that we're selling him for. So I think that's actually kind of good business. But I think if he goes, I would not be surprised if we do a bit more business. I know we've spoke about it. I can't see Archer leaving unless we are already working on something. Now, Emery has said.
So just a reminder, this isn't turning
This is
into the
the top
Aston Villa
six
hour.
No. But it's just nice to get some time to speak. Maybe I just want to go on a little rail.
That's great.
Answer the
Moving
question,
on.
Rick.
34 minutes.
Answer the
No, not
question.
moving on. No,
To a
moving on. It's
conversation
going
that
back
should
to the top
actually
six.
have nothing
No,
to
it's
do
going back to
with,
the top.
with Aston
course it's
Villa.
not.
We're going to
Of
go
course it
into the
should.
relegation race. So the consistencies, to spoil this, there was one team that I think was consistent with everybody's picks. It was the new boys, Luton, who have an amazingly quaint little field that everybody will fall in love with this year and will be mentioned 1,000 times every broadcast.
Yeah.
But across the board, all of us expect them to be gone as of next year. So we will find that consistency. But then there's a lot of variety when it comes to the rest of the relegation, which is kind of nice. So first up, Azaz, you had Bournemouth, Luton, and Sheffield United dropping. Anything in your thinking that we should know about, or is this like just common sense answer? Like, of course, these are the teams that are going.
Yeah, for me, it's the common sense pick. I kind of feel like it's one of those, not yo-yo, but like swings and roundabouts. The way Bournemouth have been able to just about survive a couple of times. I don't necessarily see anything special that they're doing. They actually tried to sign Jackson, who's ended up at Chelsea, but he failed a medical in January. So where are the goals coming from? And I just think that if you look at it, it's like the other two is because they came up. The third team coming up is Burnley, and I think that they've got the whole Vincent Kompany, doing a Pep light situation, and he's pulled a couple of strings here and there.
Yeah.
I just think it's Bournemouth's time.
I was pretty surprised when I found out Bournemouth are the Vegas odds leader in getting dropped.
Oh, I didn't know that. There you go.
Yeah,
Well,
they're the favorites, which I mean didn't seem to do much in the offseason, but like certainly I thought they like the edge should go to a team that survived already in the Premier League versus teams that are just getting promoted. Like them having more odds to go down than Luton was like a bit of a shocker to me.
I'm surprised by that. Have you guys heard of their new manager, Areola, Indoni Areola? Apparently, he plays really nice football, very, very pressing and attacking, and should be like. Heard really good things about him. It's things, right? I don't know enough to know, but it sounds like I think they're going to be a little bit more fun to watch than what we're used to. I don't know if that'll pan out to them staying up or not. But
Leeds were fun to watch once upon a time.
Oh, I know. That's why I said
Bielsa-ball. Yeah.
Okay.
He played it.
JP is not here. So the highlight for JP's picks, he does have a thing with West Ham. He does hate them, I think.
He said
how good they were down.
He said how good they were going to be last season. Remember?
Yeah. Nobody else has got Fulham going down. He's not the only person that thinks West Ham are going to go down. I can only assume the logic behind Fulham going down is that they have no striker right now. Mitrovic is going to be a pain point for Fulham because he's publicly said he's never playing for them again.
What's going on there? What's up with that?
They refused to sell to a Saudi offer that was quite a lot of money for him to live in Saudi and play football in Saudi and live the life of a very rich football player. And they were given a pretty good price by his standards. So when they refused to play, he basically came forward and said, "I'm never playing with you guys again. Like you're keeping me in this golden cage." And he's a nut job. But yeah, Fulham are the only team that JP's kind of put out that nobody else has put out. So I imagine that went into his thinking. But another guy who could maybe speak to why we think West Ham are in trouble is Brian, who had West Ham, Sheffield United, and Luton dropping. I think Sheffield United, we kind of get the logic. Luton, we get the logic. But why is it you think West Ham will not be able to avoid the drop this year?
So again, I'm going to say this with a caveat that this was before some of the things they've done in the last couple of days. They were having issues with the manager. Moyes was like seemingly pretty upset about the way the window had been managed, and he wasn't getting the players in that he needed. And obviously the performance last season, they barely were above relegation. I just felt like without any transfers and without anything to, you lost your best player and your captain, your talisman, and you don't replace him with a good player, a good solid player, then I think you're playing with fire there. And I just don't think that they have enough or had enough. If they bring in a couple of players, but it looks like they are, and looks like they're bringing in a couple of good players, I might shift this again. But that was again like a week ago at the time when I was hearing basically that Moyes was pretty pissed off about the lack of transfers and that they weren't looking like a team that was serious about competing.
Well, Harry Maguire will fix all that.
No, they brought in another midfielder and a forward, I think, or they're looking to, and it looks like they're going to happen. I forget the players.
No, Brian. Harry Maguire by himself will fix all.
He will
that.
fix them.
Single-handedly, him and Scott McTominay.
Yeah, it's 100% true.
They will take
Obviously,
them
worth
Europa
the
League.
caveat, worth the mention. This is all being done at the time of recording. Any massive transfers for Neymar to West Ham or something just completely off the nut. We're not accountable for that yet, guys.
No, we can't be.
Anything can happen still. This is the transfer window.
Yeah.
Dave, you uniquely had Everton, and I do think
Yes.
you're the only one of us that had Everton in the drop. What's your logic on Everton?
I don't know, man. I had Sheffield in there, but I was like, there's got to be one, like, kind of like surprise one. And they were so bad last year. And I just see them like just going downhill. And I think it's eventually going to happen. Might not be this year, but you know what? I threw it in there just to spice it up a little bit.
No, I don't think it's
The
a spice. I don't think it's a spice. Why was it? Well, hang on. Just really quickly. Why is this a spice? I think this is the first pick that I fully agree with. You know, Luton, I think are going to struggle. Bournemouth, but Everton had a horrendous season. They don't know ownership. They've got financial problems. They've signed no one. They've literally signed a 38-year-old Ashley Young.
West Ham were like that a week
Danjuma.
ago. So just to be fair,
but they're not now. They're signing, James Ward-Prowse and Maguire, which I think
Ward-Prowse,
Maguire is going to have a rebirth, and I think James Ward-Prowse is a great.
Ward-Prowse is a great signing. Yeah,
I think
like I said,
coming from a higher base.
I think Everton are in real trouble, and I think they've been, as Dave said,
You know what's crazy? Remember like a couple of seasons ago how much money they spent in the transfer market for them to be where they were last year? And like I said, for all the reasons you just mentioned, Luke, going into this season, it looks really bleak for them. Like you wouldn't be surprised if they got relegated, right? It's kind of sad because they're a big club at English.
Last season at Goodison too, they move into their new stadium.
Oh, really? Yeah, I don't know. Mismanaged football club at best.
14 million for Iwobi. Remember that, and that was one of the lowest spends they put. And where has that got them? Decore, Iwobi,
James in there as well.
They've got so many players they pay big money for, and they've done nothing. And to be honest, I don't think they deserve to in the league. I don't think they've done anything to stay in the league. And fully agree with that one.
As would you be happy if they went down, or would it be like the whole Everton? You want Everton Liverpool games, right? You want the Merseyside derby, right?
Yeah, in theory. I mean, every time we've lost the league by 1 point to Man City, Everton have taken points from us. So it's a tough one. Yes, the football romantic in me wants the Merseyside derby, but they can be insufferable sometimes as well. So as we all can. So I would like them to stay up, but if they go down, it's pretty funny to me.
No skin off your back, yeah.
No.
I have a bummer of a pick.
Oh yeah,
everybody knows.
Paul.
Should we talk
about this?
Should we get ahead of the Wolves?
I like Wolves. But I liked them largely because of Ruben Neves, and I love the way he played. He's no longer with them. He's cashing his check at Saudi Arabia. They had a really interesting manager that had them playing some pretty exciting football. He has quit. He has quit basically under the smoke and mirrors of you're not signing anybody. You're selling players. What's going on here? You can almost imagine the conversations that must have been had for him to have led to a mutual consent. But it's not a firing. It's a I'm out of here because the stink of what's about to happen cannot be on my managerial career. They've hired a new manager. O'Neill is the guy's name. Nobody's going to get wowed by this guy's credentials, I don't think. I just think that they have not played well for a while. They've not scored goals for a while. They dig in and they dig in and they dig in. And that's usually because of players like Ruben Neves with character and leadership who are not going to be there anymore. So I just feel like, there are other teams that could be shit. But this feels like the season I can see them being the shittiest.
I could see
of
like
all those
Everton
other
and
shitty
Wolves doing
teams.
this in that last
Yeah.
last spot.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
keeping West Ham out now because of the signings in it.
Have
It
you-
feels like Everton, I can see at least buying somebody in January and maybe plugging
Maybe.
a position or an issue. I just see with Wolves, I'm like, I just don't know where you're going to get anything. Like, I don't
Have
know.
you
where
been
you're going
following the rumors that have come out the last couple of days? Apparently, talking about Neves being apparently loaned to Newcastle for the season.
No.
Yeah, that's been coming out since the
We're
start
talking about that
of
for a while now.
because he went to a Saudi Arabian team, Saudi Arabian
owned by same
owns
ownership.
Newcastle. Like, I don't think there's any real credence to it. We'll see. I mean, like, fuck, if it happens, I'd be shocked. It does play into an interesting situation if the Saudi Arabian season allows for players to get loaned late to Premier League, but that's the only way I could see it happening. And I don't think it really works that way over there. But anyways, that's who I have as my drop. Does feel like Sheffield United, Luton are teams we're all collectively feeling are going to be in trouble. A lot of variation between Everton, Wolves, Bournemouth.
West Ham.
Interesting. Nobody mentioned Burnley. Everybody seems to feel like we're pretty good about Vincent Kompany coming into the league and doing the business and staying up.
They made some great signings. They just announced their Sunday Birch.
Finished 14th or 15th at the lowest. I
Yeah,
think they're gonna be
yeah,
a good
I
side.
think I would love to look into this, like what the success rate is for the team that wins the championship versus the teams that get in through playoff.
Yeah.
Like if you win comfortably, but like Burnley did, that has to mean you're going in like in a stronger position than
101
like Luton.
points they got too in the league. I mean, that's
Yeah.
ridiculous. They're
Yeah,
a
yeah.
very good side.
But that's never really called out as being a thing. Like Luton should have like a little asterisk, like came in through a limpy playoff, like shocked.
You know
Like,
what's
was
crazy
an underdog
though?
playoff team.
Yeah.
A lot of us support like so-called bigger clubs. Like I've got like 3 or 4 players at my club that I would love to just loan to one of these promoted teams for regular football. I don't know why we don't see more of that. Like I'm sure there's got to be some players at
I
Spurs.
think there's
Liverpool.
there's rules against it, is my understanding.
How?
We couldn't
What do you mean?
loan back Jed Spence. We couldn't loan back to a Premier League team once we brought him in. We had to loan him to Europe. So I forget what
Why?
I don't remember the reasoning, but somebody was speaking about it today on one of the channels I was watching, and I was like, yeah, that is a bit odd because you think like if you bring in a young player, you want to give him Premier League experience, but you can't. You don't see it for some reason. I'm sure there's a rule there, and I'm not sure what the rule is.
I
but
gotta
I'm
look
sure-
into that because
I
I don't
don't-
know if that's a real.
I mean, I know it is done.
Loan
Like Man
it.
United have players
Yeah.
on loan right now at Luton.
I think there's some sort of specific profile of the player. I don't know. Again, I don't know the specifics. They were
They
talking.
probably have to be academy guys. You probably can't like
Mm.
buy a guy and then immediately loan them to a Premier League team. But like you can loan academy players to promoted like Premier League teams and get them back the next season. Like that's not
Have to look
a
into
thing.
that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Hannibal
what the
Medry
reason was,
is going to Luton, Dave. Like as an
Is he
example.
actually?
That's the last rumor. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, that's exactly. I want Ahmad to go to like Sheffield, like something like that, right?
No, he's injured. He won't go anywhere. Okay, so now we're going to move into always a controversial subject because everybody has their own definition of what a breakout star is. It is intended to be a player that takes a step onto the world stage where we don't necessarily know who they are last year, but all of a sudden, wow, this guy is really good. I mean, there's some nuanced interpretation of what that means. Certainly some of the players that you're about to see are known quantities that maybe the suggestion is that they're going to take an even bigger step forward and then become like a star player instead of a regular. With that, I will go exactly to this kind of definition I'm talking about, where Garnacho, has you as a breakout star this season. I'm going to double up on this one because you're not alone. Dave also has Garnacho as a breakout star candidate. For me, I like this player a lot. I think he's already had his breakout season.
did he break out already? That was my.
No, you haven't seen anything yet.
You guys tell me where you guys are anticipating his season to go that you think he's going to be the breakout star.
At the end of the season, he'll be the most exciting player in the Premier League. He's the only player outside of maybe Mo Salah. No, he's the only player in the Premier League that goes at defenders one-on-one and cuts them to pieces. He's still young. He's figuring it out, but he's going to play a lot more. This is going to be the guy that's going to take the left wing away from Marcus Rashford. Hoyland's not going to play much. Rashford's going to be up the middle. He terrorizes defenders, and he's just going to get better and better. Azaz, what do you think?
Yeah, he's incredible. It's hard to say that because obviously he plays for our biggest rivals, but The fact that he's also now part of the Argentina squad and he's got the World Cup winners around him. Obviously, Messi is the main one, but even the rest of him. I think his attitude could cost him at some point. Like, I know he's got like a really big streak, and apparently there was a bit of ill discipline this summer as well, here and there. But on pure ability, so when I agree he had a breakout season, I think he's going to do it again and just take that other step. So, you think of the great players in the Premier League, whether it was Michael Owen, Ronaldo, like they had like certain seasons where they became household names and then they became superstars. Those two actually went on to win Ballon d'Or. Yeah, I just think he's going to have that level of a step up. So watch the kid.
Oh yeah,
Watch that kid. Brian has a guy who last year played for Fulham.
Yeah, but barely played. Was injured most of the season. Scored a couple of very good goals. I think the reason why he's going to be a breakout star is not. I mean, he's quality, very, very good. I watched him in the preseason. It's particularly in the Ange system that is the reason why he's going to really, really thrive. And I think he'll eventually, probably at some point through the season, take Sonny's left-sided wing position because of the way he plays. Yeah, because he fits the system better than Sonny does, and he's also younger, and his pace is there, but his quality on the ball is incredible, and his shooting is incredible, passing is incredible. He looks in preseason looked very good, in the short times he some of the goals he scored for Fulham last season were great, but again didn't see him enough. I think in Ange's system, he's like the perfect player for that role. So I think we're going to see he'll probably score 10 plus goals. I think from that side.
I don't know anything about this guy.
He played
Israeli
international. He played 4 times for Fulham as a starter, and he came off the bench 15 times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then was injured for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Well, the 15 times he came off the bench was after the injury. It was. Anyway, I think
we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. I think he does constitute a breakout star because if we know who he is, because we don't now, but if we know who he is by the end of next season, that's a break.
Yeah.
Congratulations, young man.
I also had Nkuku here, and once he got injured, I was like, I got to pick somebody else.
You're not alone. JP also had Nkuku, but then he watched the Charity Shield and was
he
like,
Palmer
Palmer scored a great goal. So then he changed his pick to
JP
Palmer.
Move.
I like this pick. I had Palmer as my breakout star last year because I was expecting him to like kind of come in, and I thought Mahrez was going to move on in the summer, and I thought that was going to be his role to take was the right wing.
Got a year late.
So I do think like if he doesn't break out for Man City this year, this guy's got to leave Pep. He's got to get out of there. He is a good young player. He's very tricky on the wing. I like his profile a lot. But if he's not breaking out into Manchester City's team this season, get out of there and go do it somewhere else.
He's trying to do it now.
He's
trying to do it now. There was talk. Pep was interviewed about this guy after the Community Shield, and they're like, what's going on? They're like, we're working with the agent because he's basically said the same thing. This guy's ready to start for a Premier League team. And if you can't offer him the minutes, and we all know Bernardo's going to start on that right side. They have other players. I think you're going to see this guy either out on loan or sold before the transfer window is over because he wants to play. He wants to play, and he's a good player.
So if he goes and breaks out for another team like an Aston Villa, maybe JP will be both right and excited, and then he can go to everybody and be like, I discovered Palmer and Haaland.
He should sign as a scout. JP's really good at this.
Yeah, he should. It's like all he has to do is tune in on a regular basis to Champions League football and identify players.
Yeah.
I have a guy that Dave and I are pretty familiar with that you guys may or not be. James Garner was injured for most of his debut season at Everton. And when he did come back and start playing for Everton, they looked a lot better.
So you're going to have Everton going down, but you've got your breakout star for Everton?
I do not have Everton going down.
Oh, you had
Everton,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry,
I have James Garner cementing his position at Everton, and I have him helping to cement a pretty effective avoid the drop season in midfield for Everton. But I think this is the kind of kid that once he finds his groove, he's going to make a few passes that are going to make a few highlight reels. I think he's going to score at least a couple goals from set plays. People are going to be like, who's this guy? And I can just see him being on a lot more radars. So I see this being the breakout season for him. I've anticipated his breakout for like 2 or 3 seasons now. And I just feel like if he can stay healthy, he's kind of poised to be in a good place finally to have that breakout season.
You were pretty upset when you sold him because you only got about 9 million rising to X amount.
I did not like the value we got from him because he played so well in loan the season in the championship the season before.
Nottingham
He looked
Forest,
really good in the summer. We didn't have anybody who had the same profile of like being able to metronome the ball in the midfield and control play. And I just thought that was really obviously something we needed.
Is he an 8, Paul? Like, what's his position?
He plays like an 8.
Box or...
He can play a little bit more forward than that, but he is primarily a guy who runs into the box late. But if you have the ball at your feet, he just long ball passes, switch of plays. He's just a really fun player to watch.
So he'll dictate their midfield.
Smart player.
Smart player. And if he's got like a Calvert-Lewin or somebody on the end of those, like he there's some assistance in there as well. If Everton can sort out whoever's going to be in the box, everybody else. Yeah. He plays a little bit like a Diet Coke version of the next guy who Azaz thinks is going to be a flop, which is Tonali, who I played with myself.
We're on the flop train now?
I thought...
So I think he's a brilliant player. Firstly, I don't even know if he wants to be there. We all saw how that showed up when he shows up and starts talking about...
He doesn't want to be there.
Yeah,
that was weird.
He was crying when he was walking in with his girlfriend.
But it was a great bit of business. Just a side note, AC Milan did incredible business because everyone they've signed, and if you look at who they've signed, not to take away, incredible transfer window. A number of players, really good players. Pulisic for 20 million for Pulisic, what a bargain. But this is, I think, Azaz, please continue. But I'm right in for this.
I just think it's a settling thing. I feel like, there was all those, before the movie Goal came out, there was all those like Faustino Asprilla and all these like world-class players who never really seemed to settle in some of the more, Luke, would we call Newcastle a city? It's not a provincial town, but like it ain't London. It's not the Northwest. I kind of feel like there's a little bit of that I think
isolated too, right?
Isolated. The other thing is how ruthless the Premier League can be with a transfer fee. The media and all of us fans, we love to knock someone down just because they cost a lot of money. And I think the weather, all of that stuff will probably all conspire to him being like, I didn't sign
the food. Food. He's not just in England. He's in the north of England. Right.
Yeah.
So he's gone from beautiful, like 15 different oils, all fantastic for you, to one oil deep frying everything in his apartment. It's like a banana, we can deep fry it. Fish, no problem. What's that? A table? We'll give it a go. Like this guy is like weight gain is going to be the biggest issue. I think.
No way. You know how they do it.
Okay,
He'll have his mom living with.
We lost David Convery.
We lost Connie. It was good timing.
He was talking about his mom and everything just shut down.
On a rant about Tonali's
Azaz, just like, devil's advocate though, Santiago Munoz came from the mean streets of LA and he adjusted to Newcastle and became a superstar. So it can be done. It can be done.
It's a good point. Yeah. I just feel like this one's got one of those just wasn't meant to be written all over it. And again, like you said at the start, Boris, half of this we're all going to get wrong. We can't possibly all be right anyway because a bunch of us have picked different things. But for me, it's just like this guy's like peak Italian national team midfielder at the moment, and like he wants to be playing for Milan. Even they move around their own country a lot, like Juve, they see their league as the best in the league. Like
we've had this conversation in our WhatsApp group. I actually agree. I think he will not succeed to the level he's capable of because he's a very talented football player. It is weird how Italians seem to get homesick more in England because I think the culture shock is just so significant that when you look at it, there are not traditionally a lot of successful Italians who have played in the Premier League. And by sheer volume, it's very low that even the amount of exports have come into England. So, I don't know. I think it's a bummer, but I think you're probably right. I think by the standards of this guy's very high ceiling, Newcastle probably will not be getting the best of him unless he falls in love with a nurse or something, and then
Could happen. Could happen.
Who's the most successful Italian that's ever played in the Prem? Gianfranco Zola, maybe?
Zola. Yeah.
Zola.
Yeah, probably.
But I think when you live in London, it's different. Like
Completely.
at least there's culture.
Yeah, you can eat different food. You're not stuck to the fried Mars bars.
Yeah. JP had this kid. Hoyland. It's not Hoyland, by the way. It's Hoyland.
I think he's gonna have a tough season. I think big adaptation.
I don't think it's a flop though, because I think the expectations aren't what you would have from a Tonali, right? Yeah. Like I think that's where this is off base, because it's the expectations. Well, you're bringing in a young striker who's gonna be,
JP was reading the price tag and the striker and the Man United, and he's like flop, and like most Man United fans are like whatever, man. Like a couple of years from now, let's see how good he is, but we're not expecting a lot.
He's one for the future, or one for the next couple of years that is going to get developed.
But the media is not going to treat it that way.
No, of course not. You guys are fucked.
You've signed Haaland basically. Have you seen the meme where they've taken I've seen that. So from Borat, and he's like, "This is my neighbor. I build wall, he builds wall." And he's like, "Old manager, he gets ball. I buy and it's exactly this." And I don't know. I think JP has a point, just because I find that you have a tendency to do this in the last couple of years as United fans. Oh, it's not this. Oh, it's not this. It's a lot of money. It is a lot of money.
It is a lot of money
for an incredibly unproven player. He scored 2 goals last season. 2 or 9.
He scored 9 goals last season.
Was it 9? 8, 9.
I mean, that's a big difference, Luke. It's a big difference.
No, I don't think he got 9 in total.
He had about 9 goals in total, but based on playing time, he scored a goal a game.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, stats were good. But it's in Italy.
His stats for finishing, his stats for all his stats
part.
were really good. If all you cared about was goal totals and didn't look at that against playing time, it sounds bad, which is what everybody's saying. But the reality is, scouts like this guy, we're not the only guys scouting him. PSG were in for him. His base numbers and who he is and his profile and all those things, those are all very appealing. Who knows if it works out? It is a lot of money. I just don't think at the end of next season, anybody can call him a flop or success, because at 20 years old, playing for the biggest club he's ever going to play for.
How much is he going to? How much is he going to play? So how do we quantify flop? Then
I think
you have to set a target for it.
It'll depend more on how he plays versus what he produces.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Especially with Man United, because we need somebody. The striker position isn't just about scoring goals. We need somebody who can unlock the style of play we need to play. So if he's really struggling with bringing the ball down and bringing teammates into play and all these eye test things, then let's call him a flop. But if it's just based on goal production, which is probably what JP's gonna he's not scoring 10 goals or 20 goals. That's less important right now for his age and development.
I've already got this pegged as a developmental. See, it's almost what it was for Darwin last year, right, at Liverpool, right? Coming to the Premier League from any of these other leagues in Europe it's not what it was 5-6. It's such a big jump now that first year, everyone was calling Anthony a flop last year. I like Anthony, but the number 100 million, 72 for Hoyland. The media is just going to take it and spin it, but this has to be considered. And I get it.
There is
20 years old,
but there's for a non-United fan, as there's 3 of us, it's a lot of money. I know he's
young. I'm curious, how much is it though? What is your take on how much it is? Because it's reported differently every time.
So I from Transfer Market, they're saying a 75 million euro fee. That's what, and Transfer Market are usually pretty good.
It's closer to 70, so it's actually closer to 60 million pounds. The add-ons, everybody is adding on the add-ons, which are conditional to performance metrics. And then everybody is spitting out the total it could be worth, which is close to 70 million pounds. But that's only it comes into effect if he scores however many goals, however many appearances.
Yeah, but
I still think 60 million pounds is without.
But hang on. But even that 10 million, I know, I get that, but there's no way they've agreed 10 million for something he has to score 100 goals in 2 seasons. You've just said you're not. No, so you've said you're not expecting him much. So it's probably fair to say that 10 million is probably going to be quantified.
What I am very clearly saying is people have been spinning the numbers a lot differently to meet their agenda of he costs a fortune, when a lot of the actual cost is it's a lot of things have to happen for
A lot
a
of
portion of that
variables.
cost to happen.
Yeah.
Like 60 to 70. Nobody ever says he costs 60 to 70. Nobody ever
Let's
says
be
he
honest.
ranks.
Darwin.
We'd
It's the
love
same with
it.
Darwin.
And Darwin
It's
had the
not
same
nearly-
thing.
it's not
Everybody
nearly as
wanted to
fun
make the price
as-
tag as
Yeah.
big as possible to put more pressure on the performance of a young guy. Where I'm like, I don't.
Of course,
Luke,
that's
no one
It's
wants
still a
to
lot
be
of money.
70.
There's no undoing a lot of money. Is still the reality.
We
but-
want it to be 70. We want him to
Yeah,
come through
yeah.
on those things.
No,
But
I,
we'll
I
see.
want him to, but it's the same with as with Nunes. Do you think this is going to be a season that Nunes finally kind of finds his feet, and do you think that's sorted now? And we're going to see the value in that signing.
I rate Nunes. I
like
rate
him. I do.
Yeah,
I think he's great, but
yeah.
he wasn't clinical enough, right? And
No,
so
no.
is it just getting to learn his feet in the league? And also just for all of you, I don't know if you've paid much attention. Haaland hasn't had a good preseason. He
I
like
didn't.
Community
Don't read
Shield,
into
you
that.
could see how bad he was.
Don't
and so,
read into that, man.
He
They
started
just
John,
won their
with
last
last
I'm,
year,
I'm
man.
just saying this is a player that has had a phenomenal first season, right? Is there any bit of you that goes,
No,
I
we
don't
had
think
a-
he's
that
going
can't
to
be replicated.
replicate it. He won't.
we had a
replicate
conversation
it.
last week about the value of like what is preseason and what is
Yeah.
not preseason.
For sure.
Right? Like
for sure?
He'll
it's-
still get 25 Premier League goals this year, dude.
minimum.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like an off season for him.
Yeah,
which is
that-
like I'll
that
take
would
it.
be that would be it.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's fair. That's fair.
I'll take it.
Okay.
Brian,
All
you
right.
think a guy who's been in the Premier League for a bit now is going to have a flop season?
I'm with you on this one, Brian.
I mean,
And
he was shit at Chelsea. This has nothing to do with Arsenal. He was terrible, and the amount of money they spent on this guy. I mean, what a joke! Like, I don't see how he improves Arsenal at all. In fact, I think he makes them worse up front. I think he is so shit at finishing, and his creation isn't that great either. I just think I think he's going to be a flop. I think he's going to score maybe 4 or 5 goals max. And
That was
and
harsh. That was harsh.
Yeah.
He was not terrible at Chelsea.
He was
Chelsea were
awful at
terrible.
Chelsea. What are you talking about?
Chelsea were terrible, and at
He
times
he missed
Hey.
so many sitters. It was
who
ridiculous.
was the only one when they changed manager after manager that started every week?
He was the only one
Havertz.
who got on the end of any ball and missed every time he had a chance.
But he
Look
was
at-
playing out of
look at-
position, which is I just got to caveat
What's
where
his
what he played when he was bought by Chelsea was not a false nine or a striker, and that's where they kind of played him.
I'm
more
sorry,
often than
but that isn't the reason he missed so many goals.
He's been terrible
he's-
for Germany as well. For like
He's
in
been
big
awful.
tournaments.
I mean, come on.
So like between from the Didier Drogba to Timo Werner, he's definitely on this side. Like let's
yeah.
let's call a spade a spade.
I don't know
Like,
where he plays. Where's he going to play at Arsenal? Like, who does
Yeah.
he get in ahead of?
I
part-
don't
that's
have a
part of
10.
it as
I
well.
think he
Like,
plays in the midfield. I don't have a 10 being responsible for scoring goals. I think
Odegaard
he's
is
there to
their
help
10.
create.
He's not playing in the midfield. He's playing.
Well,
in the
it's a
front three.
squad, man.
No,
I don't
he's
know
going to
what-
be. They're going to pay him on the left. So I
That's
actually
part
watched
of
a
the
video that argued why he was a great signing for Arsenal, and it was very interesting in things that they're missing from a a Moneyball perspective. He ticks the boxes, and I think it is fair to say what Convery said, that he has been played out of position. He's not meant to be a false nine, and I think Arsenal have good finishers. Like Nketiah is getting better. Jesus, I don't know how long Jesus is out for.
2
A
months.
couple of weeks. Is it a month?
No,
is
not
it?
not that long.
2 months.
No,
No,
it's
it's a groin operation. It's
Yeah,
2
but
months.
it's not like a long term. He'll be
No,
back.
it's not.
The Chelsea said 2 months.
You're thinking of Jesus. You're thinking of Gabriel Jesus.
Oh, I thought that's what you just said, Jesus.
No, you're
No,
talking about Nketiah.
We are talking about Jesus, Dave.
Oh,
Yeah,
I think
we
it is 2 months then.
It's 2 months.
I don't think so.
No, it is.
Either way.
Yeah. Anyway,
You had a point.
I think it's accurate based on his performances at Chelsea. Even
I
if he
think
played
ultimately
in
what
his
Luke is
position.
saying, Martinelli on the left, a striker in the middle who isn't Havertz, Saka on the right, playing behind them. You got Declan Rice and Havertz, who's meant to be a ball playing midfield player who can carry the ball up the field. That's why he was bought for so much money from the Bundesliga in the first place.
But
His idea that he's a false nine was never what he played in Germany.
Poch's system is a 4-2-3-1, so that he plays 2 DMs and he plays 3 behind the striker. What one of those 3 is he going to be? Is he going to be the left side? Is he going to take what's his name's position?
Odegaard.
Isn't
the left
necessarily
side.
what he has. Sorry, but that isn't what he has to play anymore. That he's got Declan Rice. That's what he was playing. He can reshuffle like how he plays in the midfield now.
I don't see that happening. I don't see him playing a single pivot or a single 8. I'd be very surprised.
Bro, you
Nobody
wanna
here
get
is
a bet
saying
going?
you're wrong that Havertz is going to be a flop, by the way. We're just saying he was always played out of position when he played at Chelsea. He was bought for a reason. There is something about what he has done,
Yeah,
even though he was not good at Chelsea, that maybe Arsenal are seeing. Let's see if it works out.
I don't
What if that
disagree
guy-
that that's the case, but I don't see the fit.
What
Do
if
you
the
know
guy
who I
doesn't
just-
have a position? What
Yeah.
if he just doesn't have a position? Like,
Well,
that's
I think
the thing. Yeah.
I think this is it. I think if he doesn't make it this season, I think he'll be sold, and I think he'll go back to the Bundesliga, and he'll just rot. This is his last chance because it's a big money signing. You know who I just realized that they've still got? They've still got Pepe. Apparently,
Yeah,
I completely forgot about him.
He's on loan
And,
last year. I think he goes out on loan again. They don't want
the
him.
record signing still, I think, isn't he?
yeah, exactly. And they've
Well,
got
no,
that
Declan Rice.
Balogun.
Still Rice.
Is it Balogun or the US international? He hasn't been sold yet, and he was having a pretty great time. I
Inter
don't
trying
think
to sign him. Inter trying to sign him as we speak.
Yeah. He plays off the shoulder. He doesn't play the style that Arteta would want, but he had something like 25 goals in France last year.
Oh yeah.
he had a very good, very
But
good.
that's
season.
a cash, like that's like subsidize your buys with selling an academy player, and that's the way. Dave,
Yeah, we were linked to this guy. I've been keeping an eye on him. I just think I don't know, man. I just think Chelsea is an absolute disaster. Like I said,
Well, his name's basically short for disaster, so I think this is
Yeah.
a great shout.
We were linked to him. I followed him a lot, and I was like, I don't want this guy anywhere near my club. I think he's just going to be another center back that rolls in there. I think the league is going to be way too fast, way too much for him.
Mhm.
And they didn't pay a lot for him. I think they paid like 38 million pounds, but I think he's just going to be another absolute bust for Chelsea, who again I think are a dumpster fire. And I like I said, a good manager. I don't see anything good coming out of that team, and this guy's going to be at the forefront.
I disagree. I think you're underestimating
Who's
how
their
good
midfield?
Poch is.
Tell me their midfield.
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but I
Name
know they've
one.
got quality.
Other than Conor Gallagher, name me their midfield.
Enzo.
Enzo
Enzo
Who
Fernandez, Murdick, isn't he? A
Murdick.
He's
midfielder,
an
is he more of a
attacking
forward?
winger.
Attacking.
Yeah.
They are gonna buy, like they bid Lavia today. They are gonna get Caicedo or Lavia. They're not gonna not.
If
get one of
Caicedo
them
will
two.
be, if they get him, I think that'll change my thoughts. But Brighton are budging on that 100 million, and can they afford it for 100 million pounds? It's a lot for a player with one really good season. I do think he'll make a big difference. Who's like Reece James is injured all the time. Chilwell's injured. Not even sure who their keeper's going to be. Kepa might be gone. Like,
No, it'd be Sanchez. They
Yeah,
just
who
signed
scores-
Sanchez, didn't they?
who scores goals for them? They haven't bought a striker. Everyone's hyping up this Jackson guy who cool. It just Sterling. He's
Lukaku.
getting older.
Sterling's
Lukaku,
apparently
yeah.
Lukaku's still in their squad.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
exactly.
nothing. There's nothing that makes, other than Enzo Fernandez and maybe Caicedo, there's nothing that gives me confidence in this squad.
I think the thing, and this is obviously coming from a place of experience and knowing Pochettino and what he did at Spurs with a very young side that were pretty messy and pretty shit. What he was able to do in a season. I think you're right in that. I don't know that it's going to happen this season, but I think he'll have them competing. In preseason they look very organized and very sharp and very quick, and the pressing is good. So I think if they listen to him, they'll play better football than you think they will.
the difference between
I think
that
so.
Pochettino and this Pochettino is people always forget how, like, how Liverpool nailed that transfer market for 2 or 3 years. Spurs did the exact same thing for about 2 or 3 years, where their transfers they brought in were flawless. I don't think Chelsea have done that.
What transfers are you talking about that were flawless?
Oh,
That's a good one.
Ericsson, like
Dele Alli.
when Son
Son.
came in.
We
Dude,
had, but those were over the course of like 4 seasons. You're talking about, not when
Your
Pochettino
recruitment-
first came in. When Pochettino first came in, he had nobody. He brought Kane in, and
No, he
Kane,
didn't.
like in a Europa League, about 10 games in, started scoring goals with Adebayor on the bench, and Soldado hadn't been able to put one. He
but
couldn't.
that's
hit
what
one
I
out of the
mean,
front
Brian.
door.
This
Our
season-
transfers were shit for the
this
first
first
couple years.
season is going to be rough for him. If he sticks it out, they need to just give him the keys to the transfers, like they've done
I
with
just
Klopp.
think I think they have a better squad than you're giving him credit for, and he's really good with young players, and they've got a lot of really good.
They got
No
a
better
lot.
than
They got
Salah.
that Hall lad in the middle. Is it Lewis Hall or something Hall? He's
He's a
a
defender,
very
Yeah,
right?
great.
Lewis Hall, I think it is.
No, he's not. There's not Lewis Hall. He's a
He's a right
midfielder.
back.
No, he's a midfielder for sure.
Okay. Well, Chelsea, I was tempted to actually put Pochettino as my flop of the season because and it's not even about him. It's just I don't like anything about the Chelsea situation.
No.
Like I just feels like
I don't want to like it. I really don't. I hope they shit the bed and they're crap. And
They
Pochettino
will.
fails.
so.
I really do.
I did
but
not.
I don't
did
see
not
it.
pick him. I went to this guy.
Oh shit! Same
Like,
team.
You know what? I'm still on how much they spent on this kid. I still remember conversations we had with Eric about like that's not a big deal. It's just 20 million a year, blah blah blah. And you can never fail with speed and all these things. He's a human pinball. He's a highlight reel waiting to happen. I just don't think he's going to have the consistency to do it in the Premier League. I think he's going to come in and out of that team this season. He's going to be one of those guys who just gets more and more frustrating because he's capable of doing something that wows the world. And then he's going to just drop off for 2 or 3 games consistently. Some of his finishing is the most ballsy, confident, flawed, terrible, skying the ball 3 times a game. So I have a hard time seeing him kind of like get it all together and become a regular Premier League player. If he does, I think this guy's going to be fucking great, but I don't think there's a middle ground. I think it's all or nothing with him. And because this is his second season, it's his second attempt at betting into the Premier League. I'm going to call this one his flop season. And I think it just kind of will cement that neck tattoos are not as cool as people think.
So, we talk about players coming in from France, Italy, Portugal, and the adaptation. We talk about it all the time. The Ukrainian league is what, another step or 2 below that? Like, I witnessed it when we brought in Fred. I was like, oh, this guy's going to be great. He was 3 steps behind. And I think that's the thing with Mudryk as well. Everyone's like, oh, he looks great in the Ukrainian league. Dude, the Ukrainian league is like championship teams could probably
against Ukrainian defenders.
Yeah, man, like it's just I'm with Paul on this. I think this guy's systemic of what's going on over there.
Yep. I hope I'm wrong, Eric. If you're watching, I hope I'm wrong, buddy.
I don't. I hope you're right, Paul.
So this is the first. This is a bummer. This is real drag, but this is the first in all the years that we've been doing the show, either in podcast form or YouTube channel form. We've never had consensus to this extent. It's always been a little bit debate, but Golden Boot across the board. Unless Luke throws a wild card into the mix and suggests that it's going to be Danny Ings' season.
I thought JP would have had somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, no, JP wants to know that he knew this 3 years ago that this was going to happen, and
it's his son.
It's his. It's actually weirdly it's his dad. I don't know how the math works out, but that's.
Bri, is there any chance that Harry just has an absolute banana season and pips it?
There is the chance that he'll compete. I don't know that Spurs will be good enough yet this season. I think the following season, possibly, if he's still there. But he's going to score a shit ton of goals in Ange's system. Like, he's just going to get the ball in the box.
A couple of quick ones on Spurs, Bri. Quickly, with the signings that you've made, will we see Harry Kane dropping back less as he's been doing that? You're going to see him kind of stood in that position.
He'll drop deep, but Madison will take his place. So
that's what I mean.
We watched it in a couple of preseason games. There was the first game where they kind of stepped on each other's toes a little bit, and then you could see the next couple of games where when he dropped deep, Madison got forward and kind of gave him the space to do it. But it'll be less. He'll be in the box more often, and he'll get if the amount of chances we've created, we've had over 100 shots in 3 preseason games or 100 shots on goal, like with it 30-35 regular per game, and 20 hitting the target. Like she scored 4 goals in that one game. I know it was like not a difficult team, but that's the type of positions he's getting in, and he's going to get that kind of
right. Quick question: should I put Madison in my fantasy league team?
100%.
I'm back and forth on it.
He's going to be unreal if he stays Madison, fit. He's going to be incredible.
All right.
He's the signing of the summer.
He'll be the
for me. I don't.
He's going to replace what Eriksson did for us.
He makes everyone more comfortable, right? He is such and I think he's a really interesting character. The only one I don't know anything about this lad, and you've paid a fortune for him. This Mickey Van der Ven or Van der Ven.
35 mil. It wasn't a fortune.
Not a lot of money.
35 mil.
Was that all? I thought it was more than that.
No, 35 mil. not a fortune. Good player. Obviously plays in a league below. He's from Ajax, but played at Wolfsburg, I believe.
Wolfsburg, yeah.
Yeah, and rapid, fastest player in that league. He's 6'4", so he's a big lad, and he's incredibly fast and very
What
good.
position is he?
Left-sided center half. He's got he had the most take-ons, the most progressive passes from that position. The players we were looking at, very, very good player for the system, and that's what
I'd never heard from him. So you say it's not a lot.
I hadn't either. I hadn't
had
either.
anyone.
But
Well,
he was identified by the coach, and the coach says this is the type of player I want. He's left-sided. He's got the pace. He can. Thing is, we're going to play.
What does that even mean anymore? If a player is a lot of money, like.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't have the same
true.
money as my rich neighbor, so his $10 coffee is expensive but cheap to him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, clubs have their own bank. Like, we're not all on the same scale. Like,
Yeah,
35 million to one club is 100 million practically to other clubs. Like, there's
okay,
no.
well, it's all right. There's 35 million to Tottenham, who's tighter than a. Well, I won't say that, but there.
Well, I mean, we've spent more than we've spent a lot more money recently in the last 4 or 5 years of that nature. Maybe not up to the
True.
sort of the Chelsea, Man City. United numbers, but we've spent. It's just we've spent poorly. We've just bought the wrong players.
You don't have a stadium with heated seats without spending some dough. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
the
a different type of investment, but
Basuma could feel like a new signing this season.
Lo Celso, man, you should see Lo Celso. Lo Celso
Really?
is fucking unreal in this system. It's ridiculous.
All right.
Like 4 assists, 2 goals. He's been on fire. So you've got Lo Celso backing up Madison, or the two of them as the sixes with Basuma in the middle. If we get one more center half, I think that there's a chance that top 4, especially keeping Kane, of course, that's always.
This is a classic situation where Dave will just continue to ask questions.
And one more.
I don't mind it.
Gakpo or Diaz? Who's gonna have the better season?
Oh,
Good question.
Nobody knows.
Great question.
I think it's Gakpo or Nunez. Like,
No, it's not.
In the 9. That's the
In the 9.
So
Yeah.
So it's Diaz or Jota will play on the left. Gakpo or Darwin will play in the 9, and Mo starts. Mo is actually in preseason been a bit more of a playmaker. He had like 7 assists and 2 goals. I know it's just preseason, so they've slightly changed his game a little bit. Where, as some players do, he's actually been improving his passing over the years, and he was just amazing in preseason. So I don't know if that's an indicator. Gakpo or Diaz? What a question. I have them both as starting. Like, my starting front 3 is Salah, Diaz, and Gakpo.
you think Darwin doesn't start?
No. I think Darwin and Jota will be on the bench for the first game. And Gakpo's a special player. Like, Diaz is very, very good, but Gakpo's just blown everyone away. To be honest, like, we knew he was good, but like, he's got this like number 8-ism to him as well. He's just like typical Dutch guy. Like, he's a very, very good footballer. There was jokes I was listening to a Liverpool podcast, and they're like, we don't need a right back. You can play Gakpo there. We don't need another centre back. You can play Gakpo there. Like, he can probably play anywhere. Yeah, I think Gakpo will have a phenomenal season.
He was a good signing.
Nice.
Yeah,
So Friday's kickoff, Burnley, Man City. Where are we watching the game? What's happening?
I'm going to be on my way to Montreal, so I'm probably not going to watch
Jesus.
I know. I'm in New Brunswick.
It's difficult. We'll be able to watch the Spurs opener on the
Week two, not this week, but next week. I'm down. If who's in the city, I'm down.
I'll be at playing at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Okay, what about Azaz, Paul, Luke? Are you going to be around? I'll do a full Saturday.
Forrest, I'm down for this week, and then I'm
Let's you and I hook up.
Yeah, we'll do something this week.
I'll even go to that stupid elephant castle.
No, but Luke as well.
No, listen, no bollocks. Paul has been very cruel.
Are you in
with me,
Toronto,
and-
Luke? Luke, are you in the city?
Yeah, he's in Toronto. He was inviting us all
the
to hang
CNE
out the other
dudes.
day.
Hey, have you guys ever been
it's
driving
not
and just
live,
felt the need to pull over in a parking lot to take a picture of a rainbow and post that on social media? Anybody
Always.
else? No?
Always.
Does anybody else feel like that? Luke, have you ever felt like doing that?
Honestly, I
Recently?
really don't mind when you have that little hair. If that's what you need to do, and you look like that, then do what you need to do. Get through your terrible middle age.
Cool.
I'll see you for a pint
real
on
fast.
Friday
Did
night.
anybody? He took that to a very dark place.
That escalated quickly.
I know.
That-
I'm just
that
pointing
got
out.
out of hand.
He literally
That
looked
got
at
out
it.
of
Holding
hand.
it
You
up
know what?
to take
A
a
man
picture
can
of the
only
rainbow.
take so much.
You got
I'm
under his
sorry
skin
if
there.
I offended you by suggesting that your post about a rainbow on social media was funny.
No, you didn't invite me. I literally was the first person to come back to Azaz when he said, I'm in. And I said, yeah, I'm in. And you just completely ignored me. That's very cruel.
So you three are getting together this weekend. That's a confirmation.
Oh, I'm not going to hang out with
Friday.
Luke. Luke is too mean.
No. Yeah, exactly. Azaz,
Like
I'll
if
message
I'm
you. We'll
going to
go
be hanging
somewhere.
around with somebody like who's going to be that mean that fast, I'm okay. I'm good.
Well, the
thanks.
big game of the weekend, I guess,
Oh.
is Liverpool Chelsea.
Right away.
Yeah.
Right
Anyone
away.
want to come to the club? Come on down. Convy.
Is there a big game
Oh.
on the Saturday as well? If I'm recalling, that looks like it's going to be good.
It's the only big one I could think of.
Newcastle Villa. I think it's going to be.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I got Villa winning that.
Yeah.
I think it'll be like a 2-2 draw. I think it'll be a lot of goals, and I think it'll be fun to watch.
It's Newcastle home though, right?
Yeah, Villa away. Yeah. So that will be
Villa-
a great game.
It's gonna be a fun watch for sure.
I would edge Newcastle for that one. It's just too early.
You should come down and watch. It would be good. At the
Home
Wheat
team
Chief.
advantage. The Wheat Chief, the
Oh,
oldest
okay.
bar in Toronto, everybody. Home of the
Indeed.
Aston Villa Supporters Club.
And
Toronto.
isn't it home of Aston Villa
And-
and Newcastle, or did they get
No.
Crystal Palace. No, we got
Newcastle.
We're
Shout
kidding.
out
are
to Stan, by
shit.
the way. Stan, hope you're doing well. over
Newcastle,
there.
who are a shady bunch of Toronto supporters that nobody likes in all the communities of supporter groups in
I've
Toronto,
heard this, yeah.
found
So
their
glad.
new home at the new NBA basketball bar.
Where is that?
Oh, on Queen's Quay?
Yeah,
Such a weird choice.
I went there the other day.
Nobody
It was-
wants them. That's why.
yeah,
it's weird.
It's
Wheat Chief is a nice little spot for you guys. Good for you guys. That Elephant and Castle for the Liverpool fans, phenomenal bar as well for the supporters. You guys fill
Come
it
on,
up
come.
too.
It'll be packed on Sunday, so if anyone wants to come down, please do.
Nah, I'm okay. Open
I'll be in
invite to the rest of the
Montreal.
audience.
You
Anybody
do what
who's
I do,
watching.
go for a United Liverpool game and then watch your team get slapped 7-0.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Ooh.
I slept
There
in
it is.
that day.
Smart move.
That's it.
Yeah, I have a kid. Gentlemen, it's the season prediction show. We're not accountable for anything we just said. Don't hold us legally binding for any bets you make or fantasy football decisions you make. in the
We
next
will
couple
make fun of
days.
each other though at the end of the season when we realize how bad we were at the prediction.
That's why I sat out of it.
It's the only way it's fun.
Lack of accountability. Gents, peace out. Audience, like and subscribe.
Like, subscribe, smash it, hit it.
Give us that like and subscribe juice. We like it a lot. That's my song.
See ya.
This is the North End. This is the North End.